Welcome, guys, to Pro League here live at the Nexon Arena. It is Tuesday, and we are about to jump into another great match. Once again, it's going to be CJ Entis versus SBENU to start the day. My name is Valdez. Joining me today is Wolf. How are you doing, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be back here at Pro League today. And SBENU definitely making some waves in esports in recent times, just like our pick there to the bottom right.
Oh, man.
And CJ Entis once considered to be the team that was the top dog, the best team in the league. Unfortunately, sitting at a 2-2 score, just simply a +1 indicator. Not as strong as they would have hoped to be going into round 3, but on the other side of things, SBENU with the exact same score. We've got so many teams so close to each other right now in this league.
It's really crazy. Before yesterday, there were 6 teams that were tied at 2-2. Of course, varying indicator points there, but as we get towards the end of round 3 here, we're already over halfway through. We're going to see these teams get more and more wins or more and more losses, and we're going to finally see who's going to make it to the round of 3 playoffs. But like you said, it is just so close here, and really any of these teams who are at 2-2 right now could make it through.
Absolutely. So these are the most important days, though. These are the days where we're finally getting towards the end. And, you know, you start to lose momentum here, and you might not be able to make it through. So these are very, very important. And when you're this close, I mean, these two teams are at the exact same indicator point. When you're this close, every single win matters. Not just beating the opponent's team, but how well do you beat them? How many indicator points do you actually get?
Yeah. I mean, the teams are this close that you could imagine a place where the 3rd and 4th place team are at the same, win to loss ratio, but one team has one extra win over them, so they get 3rd place instead.
Yeah, so,
and of course, seeding is everything as well, because you don't have to play an extra match, which could knock you out entirely.
We've seen that a lot in the past. We even saw, for example, last round, or not last round, 2 rounds ago, StarTale making it very, very far. But then their opponent's team didn't even have to play against them. They just got that freebie, that early win, because they didn't show. It just goes to show, like, what if they had shown up? Who knows what would have happened?
Pretty insane moments in Pro League history, if I may add. Today's matchup here, CJ Entis versus SBENU. This is going to be an explosive one, especially because we're starting with herO versus MMA on Echo, a 2-player map. That's a great map to start things off with.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to go into BL versus Leonut with a Zerg versus Zerg on Expedition Lost. ZVZs on the map get pretty crazy. Then a big game on Cactus Valley. Hush versus Curious. Curious on fire recently. That error that you see there definitely not indicating his GSL results. Then we've got Sora versus Bomber to close things out. Sora, bit of a dark horse in recent times, but we'll see how Bomber's playing today. He's been showing some great games in recent times for SBENU.
That he has. Also, if you will look at the lineup, SBENU choosing to not bring any Protosses. 2 Terrans, 2 Zergs, but if you look at CJ Entis, 3 Protosses and 1 Zerg, their star player in Vial. So really different teams favoring the different lineups. Of course, SBENU maybe not the strongest Protoss players overall. They choose to bring the Terrans and the Zergs. So pretty interesting lineup there. Yeah.
Now notice these team scores like we were talking about before. So many 2-2s. Things have changed a little bit with their yesterday results that we had. Jin Air dropping down actually to 2-3 with -2. That's a bit of a rough one. We will be seeing later on MVP versus Prime. And Prime, man, can they win a single set? That's what we're hoping to see maybe from them today.
Well, this is so good for MVP, in fact, because they're at 2-2, but they've taken down some stronger teams. They have still yet to face Prime. So that's a huge win that they're hoping to get under their belt. Prime right now, I think they've taken 1 win, if I'm not mistaken. Like, not a match win, like a set win.
Yeah, I think either 1 or 0. It might actually be 0 this round. I'll have to go back and check. But they've had a really, really tough time. Looking at those 2 CJ players, herO and Bill, that are tied at the top of the winners ranking. If they actually win today, they will, of course, get into 1st place. herO's trying to end his 8-game losing streak in official matches. This, of course, refers to his matches here in this studio, as he did beat Dream in the GSL, but didn't get out of the group anyway. SBENU lost 2 matches after winning their first 2, and we'll see if they can actually start to get their matches back up to a positive record with the 3-2.
Yeah, SBENU, so much hype coming into round 3, but then they hit some of the stronger teams, especially SK Telecom, and they kind of fell off a bit, really securing like a middle-of-the-road, middle-of-the-pack spot for SBENU. They still got a lot of great players that are playing quite well these days. So I'm really excited to see them coming out again here today against another strong team in CJ Entis.
A win today versus CJ Entis would be great for SBENU, because it just shows that they're able to go against the best teams and do very well. Now, some of you might be saying, well, at this point, CJ Entus isn't one of the best teams? I would still say yes, even though the results haven't quite shown it.
Yeah, for sure. They've still got the talent in their lineup. They have, the big three still. They got herO, Byul, Byung, and surprising, actually, that Byung doesn't come out today.
Yeah, a bit surprising, and I'm a bit surprised we don't see him as much in general, as I feel like he's been one of their best players in Pro League for all time, since last season especially.
Yeah,
so.
he might have a big match coming up in one of the individual leagues. I didn't take a close enough look at that, actually. I'm pretty curious about that. Maybe I'll look that up in the break.
Yeah, or maybe he's having a bit of a tough time in the house, because sometimes we see players go through a bit of a rough period off camera, where they're even having family problems, perhaps, even if you want to go that deep, or just having problems on the ladder. They're not doing well in in-house ranking. For those of you guys who don't know, pretty much every pro gaming team in Korea, and that includes like Starcraft 2, League of Legends, et cetera, all have in-house rankings. They usually do this about once every 2 weeks to once every month, the big ones, and it kind of decides where everybody's at in the team, so that way you can prove, almost factually to a certain extent, these are the players we should be sending out, these are the players we should be using, these are the players we want to bench maybe for a while, and this oftentimes determines even little things like who washes the dishes in the house, no joke. So something to keep in mind.
It's pretty crazy, but kind of cool as well, Heard something there. Oh, look at this. Still
Team Salmon.
Team Salmon on top, man. 66.1%. We're all tied together. All three of us, rather, went even. Yesterday we went 5-1. The Koreans went 4-2.
Yeah.
So they continue to dip down as we rise to the stars.
Now, after today, if we hit, if we're getting closer to 70%, it'd be crazy if the three of us have 70%.
Oh, yeah, man.
Well, I just feel like the Korean commentators, they are so perfect and they never make mistakes. Yeah, they're great. I love those guys, especially Kanata. Really smart. But prediction-wise, I don't know.
It's not looking good this round. I think for round 2, Daehyun actually won. So we can't take everything away from them. Maybe it's not going their way quite this well for round 3, but we've really picked it up. We're doing well. It's kind of cool to see. We've talked a bit before about how hard it is actually to get a very high win percentage. In these best-of-1 Pro League series, we have upsets every single day. I don't remember a single day where we haven't had an upset.
You know what's kind of crazy is the three of us have the exact same ratio as well. Yeah. And there are a few days where the three of us actually have the same predictions. It happens every now and then. But usually we don't actually have the same predictions. So it's kind of funny that the three of us actually end up with the exact same percentage despite making so many different choices.
I mean, even yesterday, you two guys went for Sue over Rogue. I went for Rogue. I lost that one, but then I went for Innovation, whereas you two went for Cure. So we kind of went even there. And, it's pretty cool. I actually love the fact that we got these predictions in.
Yeah,
for Pro League.
And especially the accuracy rate as well is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
So just taking a look at this, I don't know what it is for SBENU that they're actually celebrating, but that's a really cool picture. And maybe they're just celebrating being awesome because they pretty much
because
are.
They are. Yeah, there you go. Here's herO. As our viewpoint said, they are, he is on like a 8-game losing streak. I actually didn't know it was that bad, but still 6-0 versus Terran in Pro League and looking as strong as ever. Here in Pro League, at least. No games against MMA.
Not a single one.
Ever.
But the thing is, herO rose to power in a time when MMA was in Europe, right? So he's finally back in Korea at top form again. I mean, MMA is still looking really good despite the fact that most Koreans who've traveled overseas did well, there. But, when they came back to Korea, they had some problems. MC is like a really unique example because when he came back to Korea, he did really well, but has since kind of fallen off and looked a bit weaker. But MMA 2-1, a great Pro League record so far.
Yeah. And looking fantastic in the TVT matchup, mind you.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you mentioned earlier, they haven't played against each other, but MMA hasn't even played against a single Protoss ever in Pro League, and herO's biggest success comes from Pro League. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. These guys seem to be friendly, regardless of them not facing off against each other, including unofficial. But MMA even saying a joke, he's like, oh, we're going to show herO first. We got to go in order of handsomeness first. So he was saying that herO was looking pretty good. And then we go on to MMA, of course. I think we're about to get this game started, Wolf. The map is going to be Echo for game number 1 between these two titans. It's going to be herO versus MMA, and let's jump into that game right now. Down here in the bottom right, in the yellow for CJ Antis, the Protoss player, it is herO.
And his opponent to the top left in pink, in fact, SBENU, it's MMA. So here is somebody we see all the time in Pro League. Once considered to be on the top of the world, one of the best Protosses. Oh, actually, I'd say he still is, but he's had a bit of a rough time recently. So I'd say until very recently was considered to be, by many, the best Protoss in the world, right? MMA, on the other hand, let's talk about his history because this guy has been around for a long time. Cute GG girls aside. This guy originally became famous by joining Slayers. He was often called the son of Boxer because Boxer spoke very highly of him, and it was Boxer's team at the time. A team that was not without problems, but was a GSTL champion team, had a ton of success early on, and found some great sponsorships, picking up Intel, and having that Razer sponsorship as well. And the team looked solid. They had great players, a lot of them still around today. Then he moved, later on into several different teams, so bouncing between Axiom and then going into his Acer sponsorship. And now he finds himself sponsored by SBENU here and is with this team of players that basically all came from different places. And so I wonder how well he's adjusting to this, because he himself has seen quite a few team houses, seen quite a few different realms of practice. He's lived in Europe. So, I mean, this guy knows he knows how to adapt to a new situation.
This guy is totally fine, man. He came out here in his first match, and he looked so stellar in the TVT. Forget exactly who he bopped, but it was a bop. And he looks totally comfortable. Like, you really can't take anything away from this guy. He's a true veteran at this point. He knows how to play on any different playing field with any team, and he's shown it to us time and time again. He's got a ton of fans. Great-looking guy.
So something we're starting to see a lot more of recently, which is kind of surprising that we didn't see it in the Korean meta until just now, is this block off at the top of the little chin. So you can't let the Reaper, deny the Reaper from bouncing up. Whatever you want to call it, the chin, the lip, the bump, the double jump point.
The cliff?
The cliff. Yeah, that's probably what most people call it, the secondary cliff. But it's funny that he commits so much to that because it's going to, of course, put his buildings in a bit of an awkward spot, slow down his building a little bit because he has to send the unit a little bit further away to build that. But because he goes totally blind here and doesn't scout at all, he actually isn't against a Reaper. In fact, he's against a CC first. He's just going to go ahead and plant his Nexus, checks and sees that there's no eBay block going down, so he can cancel that Zealot. And we're going to see the Mothership Core come down here as well. Sends the Probe back here, and is just going to see that SCV. I wonder if he's just simply not going to scout at all.
He may choose not to. herO, he does time and time again go for that Mothership Core scout. Wouldn't be surprised to see it now. Also seeing that SCV come out for a scout, he may be saying, oh, you didn't go Reaper. Also, you're scouting with just an SCV. Could have been CC first. Maybe I send my Mothership Core over there. But he's going to keep it at home for now. And especially on a map like this, it's not even like, if you can imagine, like Cactus Valley, I guess you would call it like close spawns. You can send that Mothership Core over here. On this map, they're all the way in the two different corners, so he's got to go left and then up, or right and then up. Yeah, and on some of those maps, like Cactus Valley, even on Deadwing vertical spawns, you have some dead space. You can kind of hide the Mothership Core in it if it gets spotted. Whereas on this map, if you want to go cross, if you get caught by a group of Marines for any reasons, it's just simply going to die unless you have a recall. So he's finally going to send a probe out here, and he's going to be able to react to what he sees, but it looks like regardless of what he scouts here, he's already planning on going down the Stargate route. Perhaps to go into Phoenix's Falling and Oracle to shut down drops, because drops are so popular right now. But let's see what he decides to do after he scouts this early CC. Yeah. He's going to see the Marines, but that's about it. Sees only 3 here, so maybe saying, oh, okay, maybe going for that tech. He may decide to go for Phoenixes just to be safe, especially with the Stargate very, very late. Compared to, if you're going to go Oracle, you maybe want to get it out a bit faster so you have a better chance of doing damage. We saw Myungshik using Phoenixes really, really nicely against Maru. He still got bopped, still lost that game just because Maru's a god. But regardless, it looks like he's going to commit to the Oracle, though.
That he is. And already we see MMA actually keeps a Widow Mine at home. And if he has that in the right position, perhaps behind a satellite dish or a refinery, maybe he can actually kill the Phoenix right out. Where did he hide that? Did you see? I'm going to check.
You check that out with your Observer PC.
It's right behind the refinery. Okay, so as you can see here, he just moved it for just a second. Probe comes and checks and actually sees there's nothing at the front, which is kind of funny. Even attacks the bunker temporarily to aggro that.
Yeah. saying to MMA, oh, you better get your guys back in that bunker. And we're going to see him actually commit to Phoenixes as well.
Yeah.
There's a couple out here.
And we do see that the Widow Mines have been removed from the base, 2 of them in a medevac going up across, so they're not going to be here for the defense. There is a turret he made. It's very well placed. Unfortunately, not going to be able to protect that building SCV, but doesn't have too much to worry about with this many Marines and a turret at the natural as well, so this only gets 1 kill.
Yeah. He's got the Phoenixes back at home. He's going to have 2 possibly once this hits. Maybe just 1, though.
All right,
he's going to come in and drop both of these Widow Mines in.
Oh, he doesn't lift. He's going to kill the medevac.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have any detection.
Oh, this didn't go off. Oh! He didn't even know. 9 kills. What?
Oh, I didn't even notice either. There comes that detection.
That's a huge amount of damage to come out this early on in the game.
It really is.
That was just a great move by MMA. Did he like unburrow that or just stop the attack? I wasn't even sure.
I was more paying attention to the Phoenixes, so I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah,
it might have just been a coincidence. And I think that was a bit of Hero just being quite flustered in that moment. And the Oracle did very little damage. And now he's going to come across the map again. I think kind of just to see if there's a push coming across. He wants to scout a little bit. I don't think he's going to get much attacking damage done here. MMA already reacting, getting some Marines back into position. And if he committed there, he would just take too many losses on those hit points on the Phoenixes. Yeah. Now he's got 3, but still, he needs to be very careful with these.
Yeah, he can't go up against all those Marines just right now. But you'll see this time and time again, like the best Protoss players, they'll never fully commit their Oracle to a ton of damage. You know, maybe you get 4 or 5 kills total, and then it goes down. They'll just keep it alive because it's so useful later on in the game for scouting purposes. And just seeing exactly what your opponent is doing, get a lot of tags on the army, see where the medevacs are going even.
Yeah.
It's a great unit overall, like early, mid, and late game.
Absolutely. We do see a 3rd base come down here for Hero because he has these Phoenixes. He's got a lot of map vision right now as well to stop drops that might come in and attack this. And with Phoenixes, you can shut that down pretty hard. So MMA, of course, going to be quite reluctant. Even a move out here, this push out, you can see that. You can tag it. Going to try to damage this a little bit. So this attack that's coming across here, still quite strong. There's only 1 Colossus on the map, so killing these medevacs is going to be nice. If he could slow this down, that would be huge, because only 1 Colossus and 2 Stalkers on the ground, not a single Zealot on the map. If he just engages this directly,
yeah.
If it finishes, he'll have the Nexus Cannon, but okay, he just warped in a few more units. Zealot, a few sentries. It's still going to be a tough to hold push.
He's going to need a lot of great force fields too, but MMA already setting up a nice little concave, kind of zoning out the units of the Protoss. And he may just go for the attack, but he's got to be careful about going up that ramp with all those sentries. Doesn't want to get split in half.
Oh, losing 1 Phoenix here as well, trying to catch that medevac. More and more reinforcements coming across. MMA does not have to force the issue here, but he definitely does have a good opportunity to do damage. His 3rd base is nearly completed at home. He'll have to lift it and move it, but he's still in a position to continue pushing across with this army. He's got a lot of Marauders in this mix, which is really important to note. He's about to have +1 armor as well, but ranged finishes here.
Yeah, it's really going to help out. He's got 2 Colossi now. MMA just trying to split up his units, come from 2 sides, but Hero's control right now is so fantastic. He's just keeping MMA at arm's length, you know, just pushing him away at all costs, and MMA trying to find a hold here, but Hero doing a great job holding it off for now.
Constantly revealing this army using the Oracle as well, plus the fact that he was so patient with his Mothership Core. He only just now used his very first Nexus Cannon, so he had 200 energy for so long. He still has over 100 now, building up back again, so very energy efficient with that Mothership Core. A ton more units rallied across the map, but I feel like the strength of this push will wane over time as more and more Colossi come out. Blink is going to finish, so he's going to be able to chase these units as they try to posture. Still a lot of army.
Yeah. If MMA can find or try to get Hero in a bad spot here, he could do a lot of damage. But we see Hero adding a lot more gates here, just trying to get a big army up to defend against this, because he knows, you know, he's had that 3rd base way ahead of Hero, or MMA rather. MMA is only now going to move that over.
Now, one thing that's really important to note is that the 1-1 upgrades are done. 2-2 starts, and just now are the forges being added for Hero. So if he actually gets a significant lead in upgrades, like if he has 2-2 before 1-1 is done, it's going to be a massive upgrade lead that he can use to take some straight-up fights if he's able to realize this, if he's able to scout this.
Kind of an interesting play from Hero, actually. We see him very often going for early double forge, but this time just trying to go for an earlier 3rd base and, you know, getting that Stargate tech out instead of the Twilight Council. It's kind of un-hero-like. Maybe those games that he lost against Dream, he's trying to rethink his style in PvT.
Well, you know, playing, oh, hold that thought. There's no buffer for these Colossi whatsoever. And one will go down. The second one does survive, but a great pickoff here for virtually nothing. Now 4 medevacs boosting around. 3 Phoenixes are not going to be enough to deter this. He will have to use his Blink Stalkers. MMA decides not to commit, though, knowing that there could be Stalkers on the other side. As soon as he sees those Phoenixes running by, might be a bit too overzealous.
3 Phoenixes may have been able to burst down 1 medevac, and maybe he gets 3 down there, but like you said, not knowing what's on the other side is kind of scary. Maybe would have liked to see a scan come in or maybe go to the other side, but regardless, not really going to find that drop here. We're seeing herO add a ton more gates and finally get the charge. All the upgrades that he was missing a little bit earlier on, he's finally going for that.
Yeah, even getting Warp Prism speed here, interestingly enough. So we'll see how that comes into play here as the game progresses. He already is adding a Warp Prism as well on a Dark Shrine. So it looks like we're going to be seeing some heavy DT harass, which we have seen a lot of success in the past late game in this matchup. Especially versus some of these Terran players in Europe. MMA, of course, a Korean player who lived in Europe and played in Europe in WCS, but he's been spending all of his Chrono Boost essentially on these upgrades, especially the 1-1, so he is going to get 1-1 before 2-2 finishes for MMA, and that's very important, but he needs to be on top of getting 2-2 started right away so he can catch up.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're seeing finally that harass come into play here. A bunch of Zealots being warped into this Warp Prism. Should be able to cancel that 4th base from coming down.
Oh. This Oracle from the beginning of the game, only 1 kill, but still so much utility. That Speed Warp Prism is boosting around the left side. Vikings have not detected it. It will actually scout that base to the bottom left. That 4th base for MMA, which he's chosen a very forward location. A few ghosts are now being added. MMA is one of those players that will consistently play late game TVP. He's not afraid of it. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he is very, very good with EMPs as well as snipe. So this is a different kind of style that we don't usually see in Korea in TVP, because usually Terrans just pull the boys and try to hit a timing attack after their additional harassment after the Widowmine drops. But we're going to see MMA just try to go straight up here. I mean, we're talking like a ton of ghosts. Ooh.
MMA is a different kind of player. I'm glad you point that out. But at the moment, having a bit of trouble with this harass. Right now, you see the main base is totally cleared out. That 4th base in the bad spot. Look at this, big blink forward. herO's taking great trades in the middle of the map as MMA scrambles to hold off the harass.
Yeah, look at this herO. He's kind of realizing MMA's panic. CC will go down here without a castle, in fact. And, you know, this is not the end of the world, simply because MMA has a ton of minerals at this point. But this is one of those small things where you can see he's clearly not making the best choices. He's not on top of everything.
Yeah, and look at this. 4 DTs. He cleared the missile turret. And now MMA, he's getting a bit flustered. He wants to take the attack, but herO just easily backs off. He time warps. He's like, no, I'm not fighting you.
Look at this. Force fields go down as well. You're exactly right. We may see his Mothership Core fall. Barely does not, as these Marines squeeze through that one gap. He's going to lose all
the base of MMA right now.
Yeah, he's going to lose all of his infrastructure here, Valdez.
Right in the production. And taking great trades against all these SCVs and the units. herO has to be very careful, though, about sniping out those Vikings. There's 11 of them right now.
Oh,
and this is a great spot for MMA.
Yeah, it certainly is. The Vikings need to get their shots up here. Archons still have all their shields, but the rest of the Protoss army does not. He just doesn't have enough bio here, though. With this huge warping, I don't think he's going to have enough. The Marauders do burst down these Colossi, but here come DTs and Zealots. Let's see if he's got any scans left over from that harass earlier. Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it. At the same time, he takes out all the AoE, but look at the base still of MMA. He never fully cleaned this up. It's still doing damage. MMA has just not been able to deal with the harass in his main base, and they're just killing him right now. He lost his orbital in the main.
GG. herO does it. A close game, a solid game, but just the lack of defense, and also that speed warp prism that just went, that changed the game. That was the one that killed the 4th base and killed the main and forced MMA into this awkward fight where even though he had great EMPs, he didn't have that parade push of reinforcements because his infrastructure was in tatters. It was totally wiped off the map.
And I love the fact that herO brings it in like much later on in the game than you would normally see out of herO. He just changed up the timing a bit. Maybe MMA in his head, he kind of got comfortable and he was saying, oh, okay, I don't really have to worry about the harass. And then all of a sudden, there's 12 Zealots and 4 DTs in your main and you're like, well, what do I do? My reinforcements coming out of the racks are not going to be able to deal with this. Do I pull my whole army back? And then when he does that, herO snipes out like 5 Vikings in the middle of the map.
When you're in a position like herO was in as well, where you chased MMA's army from the initial harass, we're talking like just 4 Zealots or whatever, he moves his army back, you move blink forward, kill some medevacs, kill some Marines, and you've chased MMA's army all the way back. MMA was even on his way back anyways. And then when you do that big warp into Zealots, you don't need those to defend right away because you have so much space to work with while MMA has to chase you. It's not like MMA is on top of your base and you're like, oh god, I might lose my third because I just warped in all the Zealots to harass. He knew that he was in a position where he could warp the Zealots into attack, and then by the time the MMA got to his base, he would have that extra defensive warp that he could use. Really, really smart assessment of the situation there by herO. Good pressure, very patient play, not greedy at all. We've seen him fall to Terrans in the past with some of this greed. Very late forges, and then spent all of his Chrono Boost once he had 3 next side to catch up in upgrades.
Yeah. MMA looking a bit defeated. You know, he's been doing very well here in Pro League ever since his debut in Pro League, but going up against herO, the guy who's currently tied for first place for most wins, I don't think he should feel too bad about taking that loss. herO played that game so well. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, so am I. That was really well done, especially considering the rocky start. The Oracle didn't do too much damage. He also had that unfortunate probe shot that killed like